feet and the headlights never seem to change. Day in and day out, they always stay the same. Concrete's growing, the city's moving in, and there's progress for progress' sake. They think they know what's best for us and how to change our backwards ways. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a really cool right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. The men that died, gave their lives, knew what they were fighting for. Sacrifice and innocence left on a foreign shore. These colors still fly here high and proud, the red, the white, the blue. If you think they're coming down, I got some news for you. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a really cool right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. From sea to shining sea, there's still a lot of good old boys like me. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure we're thankful for everything we have. Love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a redhead or a rag. Way out here, we still stand for the flag.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Mic in hand, ready for deployment. Podcast feels heavy as the ointment. Veteran tales straight from the trenches. Pop culture splices, pulling down the fences. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. HomeFront Sitrep, voices from the fight. Veterans sharing dark, stepping into light. Real life saga, not some fairy tale. Truth and resilience, never gonna fail. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Legacy 11X, story of Marines. Army anecdotes, Gulf War scenes. Vietnam echoes, Desert Storm sounds. Podcast chronicles, glory and bounds. HomeFront Sitrep, honesty is core. Veterans laying bare what they endure. From the front lines to the homebound grief, episodes of grit, grind through the grief.
Welcome everybody to Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. Hopefully everybody's had a great Monday. Yesterday we had a really great episode with Stalls, Adam Prather, and Claire Colburn. We talked about influential women in military history. Talking about the only female to win but to receive the Medal of Honor, and how her Medal of Honor was rescinded and then it was given back to her, which is crazy to believe that, somebody can take away the Medal of Honor and then give it back to you, which blows my mind. Great episode last night. And then we got a great episode tonight, So I met Miss Tita off of TikTok through Vet Nation Cards. So if you're on TikTok, you can go follow Miss Tita. It's Pacific Tita on TikTok, so you can go follow her there. But we're going to talk with her and Mr. Clifford Bauman from the Mental Health Warrior podcast. Don't do Warriors, it's the Mental Health Warrior podcast from Veteran Trash Talk Radio. So we're going to talk with them here in just a minute and talk about what they do on their podcast. They deal with the mental health side of things. So they bring in a lot of great guests to talk about their journey through their military service, the traumas that they endured and stuff like that. And we are on TikTok, so we got to be very mindful of the words that we do say. So we're going to try to keep it a little bit on the PC side so we don't get bananaed on TikTok over here. So we're just going to have to keep an eye out on that. Clifford, he's an author, motivational speaker, all kinds of things. Army veteran. Miss Tita is a Navy veteran. I'm super excited to have both of them on here to talk about what they do and how they help give back to the veteran community. Without further ado, let's bring them up to the stage and get them up here. Welcome.
What's up?
Buonasera, ¿cómo está?
It's midnight your time, right, Cliff?
Yep, it's 12:07. Yeah, Central European time here in Italy. So
when I grow up, I want to be like you and live in Italy too.
Right. Well, as you said in the introduction, we do have our own podcast. Lynn and I do called the Mental Health Warrior. We actually just finished that up about 30 minutes ago. We had a great guest on, Joshua, who's actually a paralyzed veteran, has his own foundation called Still Hope. Still Hope. Yep. So it's great. And then it was kind of funny because had Lynn not reminded me about going on tonight, because on my Google Calendar it was showing as tomorrow. Man. I would have just finished the podcast and went to bed thinking I didn't have anything, and then logged on tomorrow and been nobody there. But
technically it's tomorrow over there.
Yeah, it is tomorrow. Yeah, it's the 11th now. So
you're living in the future.
Yeah. But hey, I want to appreciate you coming on our podcast a couple of weeks ago. It's really great that we can go on and share both of our experiences through podcasts. It's a great way to reach people. And, everybody does everything a little bit different. But, Lynn and I, we both served in the military. And you know what, Lynn, how about, since I always go first, how about you talk about yourself first? And then I'll go after you if you want to. I guess you want us to tell about our military experience. Is that what you want us to do, Ellis? Yeah. Or?
I think Cliff wants to run the show.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You put me in the middle, man. I can't help it. I went into auto mode.
No, so yeah,
it's the bull. There you go. There you go. There you go.
I'll throw myself
there
in the
you
middle.
go.
There we go. So I'm super excited to have you guys on too, because I love making that connection and then sharing that connection with the world and the people that here are watching from my side of the spectrum that might not know about the Mental Health Warrior podcast. So I'm definitely excited to share that. And we'll start with Miss Tita. Miss Tita, if you want to introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep, if you don't mind.
Hey everybody. My online personality is Pacific Tita. but my name is Lynn. I'm on TikTok. I am kind of like a small little influencer in the veteran community. I'm a Navy veteran. I did 6 years active duty and then 6 years active reserve, so 10 years altogether. I was in from 2003 to 13, and I was on 2 different ships, the USS McCampbell DDG 85, right after they commissioned. So I wasn't a plank owner, which I got there right after like they were done doing their like first sea thing, tour or whatever. And then I was on the USS Nimitz CVN 68, an aircraft carrier. So stark difference. I went from a small destroyer, like small boy is what we call it, to an aircraft carrier.
Nice.
So, yeah, I did that. And then my job was operations specialist. But as an operations specialist, I was one of my specialties, because we're like the jack of all trades, is air intercept control. So I went to Top Gun school, but for controllers, strike controllers. So unlike air traffic controllers where you keep them apart and you make sure they land safely, no, I'm in the dogfight. Like I'm bringing them together to like do the main stuff. And then I tell them where to go, what to do, who to bomb, who to shoot, where to drop the bombs at, things like that. I'm not sure if I could say that on TikTok.
Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, during that time, I did, I'm GWAT. And so I did a lot of support and mission work for Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom in the Persian Gulf. So even though I wasn't boots on ground, I was out there as a sea warrior fighting the good fight for America.
Heck yeah.
And I've been to several countries. I did 4 deployments back to back. The first one was 6 months. And then the second one was 8 months, then 10 months and 10 months. So I'm one of those sailors who doesn't like it when you say, oh, we're having steak and lobster tonight.
Because everybody likes steak and lobster, though.
Well, not when you're in the Navy. You kind of get dramatized from that. So about 3 times I've had the steak and lobster announcement, and at least. So that and then after I got out, I went to college in Texas, in Houston, Texas, and then I also went to college in Hawaii. So I eventually got my master's degree, and fast forward later, I am a federal employee now. But when in my time in the Navy, it's funny because Cliff, you guys were talking about TBIs earlier, and so I fell down 2 ladder wells in the Navy. So there's 2 ladders. Yeah. I fell down. We were running, I think we were doing like general quarters or something like that. And I was just sliding down like a fucking asshole down the ladder well. And I fell, I like kind of tumbled, and then I hit my head and I messed up my knees. I twisted my legs. And so, and matter of fact, I just saw that in my record. Like I didn't realize that they actually diagnosed me with TBI until I saw that in my record, like literally last week.
Well, you need to go file for that ASAP.
Well, yeah.
I'm already I know. I'm like, I mean, I should, right? But then I'll have to, that's a whole different story with the VA claims. But I eventually got 100% already. So I'm 100% permanent and total. I have PTSD, MST, and then all the good stuff with my bones and my back and my bad knees and the arthritis. So I used to be a runner. I used to run marathons. I used to train for that. And now I can't. I think the big thing is after I got out of the military, I really didn't have any direction or who or what I wanted to do after college. Like, okay, I'm done with college. Now what? And then I became a military spouse. So I kind of had to find my community and find what I was passionate about and finding my purpose. And that's what led me here to podcasting today, is just getting involved with the veteran community. The 22 a day really, it resonates with all of us. We have been affected by it one way or another, especially, us veterans. So that's been a big passion of mine too. Like 2 of like my really good friends passed away after I got out of the military, after I got out of the Navy. And it hit me pretty hard. And then, I've gone through my demons and stuff, being diagnosed with PTSD, MST, and all, the works. So now I work closely with vets. I live in Florida, North Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida. And what I do here is I am with Veteran Trash Talk, which we do our podcast and we bring veterans together. And I'm also with Irreverent Warriors. So Irreverent Warriors, we bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. So we get together, we do these hikes. They're not really hikes, and only it's like a 2 to 3 mile per hour pace, and only people with DD-214s or who can get DD-214s can participate. And so it's a great time. You don't know that you're missing that camaraderie and that community until you're actually there.
Yeah.
And just having that in my life and having the veteran community, it's healing for me. So like you mentioned earlier, we met on Vet Nation cards on TikTok, and that's awesome. Like I'll go on there in the morning and it just sets my day.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better. It's like, it's our own little therapy. Like granted, VA does have great mental health. They have great therapy, but like when we're doing these things, these talks, it's like healing for me. And I know it's healing for other people as well. So.
Yeah. If I don't get my daily dose of that in the morning, whether Sam's doing it with Black Dog or Will's doing it with Vet Nation cards, my day don't go right. And Sam, he likes to start later. Like, so Will with Vet Nations, he'll start about 6:15, and then I'm leaving work or I'm leaving home at 6:15. So I get in my truck, click it on, and I'm sitting there talking with them and enjoying it, and it just sets my day. And then Stan will start his at about 6:45, and I'm like, bro, you need to start earlier so people that have to work at 7 a.m. can be there and enjoy that time, because for me that's my break time to decompress from the night before. Exactly. I get to go on there and I get to talk and tell my story and hear other veteran stories as well. So that's what I really love about that. And it's a great community on there, and it's only got larger and larger, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And now Doc James is doing it as well, so he's gonna kind of step in that role as well. Just want to give a shout out to DV6 Nick, who's in chat on TikTok. Gold Star Wife. She said that her current husband, was a combat vet, and when they were docked and subs, that they went crabbing, and then they went and cooked them up. He said basically whatever they could catch and eat. So that's super cool. So I want to give a shout out to those guys out there. DV6, CC James is out there. If you haven't seen his coins, go check out Heroes of America and Beyond. Check out his coins that he's got coming out. So super excited about that. Want to give a shout out to Triple Threat Vets Podcast. If you haven't heard of Triple Threat Vets Podcast, go check them out. They are amazing. You got Matt, Ty, and Al. Two of them are in Houston, Texas, and one is down in Jacksonville, Florida, near you, Tita. Al's down near you. And they're man, I tell you what, they do amazing things on their podcast. They bring in some amazing guests. They got General Petraeus coming up on their show here, and they do live episodes like I do. So they got some great shows coming up. So, all right, Mr. Clifford, it's your turn.
Wow, that's the longest I've ever been quiet in my life.
I know, right?
Hey, for everybody that doesn't know me out here on HomeFront Sitrep, my name is Clifford Bauman. I am a retired CW4. Yes, we do exist, only in after retirement. I did turn down promotion to W5 to retire, but they say when you're done, you're done. After 34 years, I think I had served enough. For you guys who don't know, I am a suicide survivor. I was at the Pentagon 9/11, and then I attempted a year later. Lucky enough, my brother found me and saved my life. And about 10 years after my suicide attempt, I was working for Headquarters Trade-Off, running the Master Resiliency Trainer program, the MRT program. And it was there at University of Pennsylvania when I first spoke about my suicide attempt. And the response I got from soldiers there really put me in motion of being the mental health warrior. And I started to publicly speak about my experiences with mental health and being an active duty officer. And in 2012, VA was doing their Make the Connection campaign. And at that time, I was the only active duty officer to ever to publicly speak, not only about mental health, but my suicide attempt. And that really kind of started my journey of becoming the mental health warrior that I am now, and talking about mental health and the importance of it, because, too many of us suffer in silence. Too many of us suffer alone. Too many of us, think that we're less of a person because of injuries we have or something we suffered or things we've been through. And in reality, that's not true, but that's a hard road to go down. And, that's one of the things that Lynn and I talk about on our podcast, The Mental Health Warrior, is the importance of knowing that it's okay not to be okay. We say that all the time. But, even if you're in recovery and you have a relapse, and I talk about this because I believe this is a relapse isn't a negative thing. A relapse gives you a new starting point, because now you know what not to do or what road to take, and you just go down a different path. And you may go down many paths on your road to recovery. And it's so very important. And I think sometimes, we forget that. But, I got associated with Veterans Trash Talk through my speaking events. I was actually a guest on their show. And then it was about 4 years ago, I guess, Lynn, I came on your show. Was that on your show first?
Five years
Yeah, 5 years
it
ago,
was in
maybe.
2020 when I was podcasting.
Hey, so we just got a warning on TikTok because you said the S word.
Oh, okay.
So,
I forgot they don't like that. Analyze.
Yeah, they don't like that.
I put it in the private chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I tried to unalive myself. Apologize for that. However, and I forgot my train of thought. See, that happens with
No, you came on the podcast in 2020.
Oh, yeah. I was, because you met my friend Bill. He was your teacher.
He was because I was taking PhD classes, and Bill Cameron. I can't.
K.
Dr. K.
Yeah.
So you guys are, when you do your podcast, you talk, your primary focus is mental health, and I can get it from both of you why that's very important to both of you, and I like what you just said there. It's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. I seen a shirt the other day. It says I'm broken, but I'm as in red, and okay and broken is in red. So I think it is okay to be okay.
Well, broken crayons still color.
Yeah,
that is so true. Yeah. That is so true.
Oh, I've seen that in Marine shirts.
It's also true. 95, 99% of the time, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, right? I'm a fun guy to be around. I enjoy life. But there's some days where I don't. And there's some days with my PTSD and the injuries and my TBI, I'm not that person. But that's okay. We all can't have good days, but you have to realize that the bad days will pass.
Yeah.
And they won't be here forever. And even if that bad day lasts a year, it's still going to pass. Yeah. And you just have to keep pushing forward and keep moving forward, much like the clocks did on Sunday night, where they jumped forward and now everybody's tired and cranky today. Here in Italy, we haven't changed our clocks yet. We don't change till March 30th. So I'm still not quite as tired as Lynn was with our podcast an hour or so ago. But, it's important, right? Because, we talked about this with the time change. It affects you mentally, not only you, but it affects your family, your children. And, one thing on our podcast that we talk about a lot is, of course we cater to veterans, but veterans have families have friends. We all have friends that served and some that didn't serve. And really mental health, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It can affect anybody at any time. And, with post-traumatic stress syndrome, one thing that people have to understand, just because it bothers me and doesn't bother you doesn't make it less for me. And we have to understand that, we're all individuals. We're all made differently. And what affects Clifford Bauman may not affect Lynn, may not affect you, Will. It's the same. And that's okay. And I think for a lot of people, when they're going through recovery or they're having issues, because your friends aren't bothered by it, because your family's not bothered by it, and maybe you guys suffered the similar trauma, that starts to wear, and you think, well, there's something less in me. I'm a less of a person. I'm not a whole person, or something's missing, or something's wrong with me. Because why are they affected and I'm not?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, we need to understand that everybody's different, and trauma affects everybody differently. And when you have trauma upon trauma, that makes it even more complex. And I think for a lot of people that have suffered childhood trauma, and then they have trauma in adulthood, you can't skip steps of getting recovery. You have to go back to your original trauma and fix it before you can fix the trauma that you're dealing with now. And that's a painful road that a lot of people don't want to go back down, but it's very hard and it's very important to do that. And I just wanted to say that because I think sometimes we forget that we all are different. We're uniquely different. And it's okay that we are different. And, I tell people this all the time. If you always go down the same path and you always make the same mistakes, what's wrong with going right or left?
Yeah.
Right? What straight ahead's going to lead because you've been down it 5,000 times.
Yeah.
Going right might be a little bit scary, and going left may scare the heck out of you, but maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah. There's a comment here on TikTok from Mumsy. She says the same thing can happen to two people and each handle it differently. And that is so true because Gunny, my co-host, who's on a cruise ship right now, I'm a little jealous.
Well, nice.
You can do your podcast on a cruise ship.
Right. That's what I told him. I said, bro, just hook up your phone, do it. Gunny and I, we were in Haiti at the same time. But the stuff that I saw compared to the stuff that he saw was very, 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 very similar. But we both went down our own path. Kind of I went right, he went left. And we deal with it differently, and everybody, we all serve in the military, right? We all do that walk, and we all do it differently because you can have two people in the same spot at the same time, and something goes boom, right?
Yeah.
Tita might see it differently than you, Cliff. And you deal with it, you process it differently in your brain. So yeah,
Well,
like Chris said,
I kind of liken it. I have 4 siblings. I'm the oldest. We all have the same childhood. We all did the same things together, but we all remember things differently.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to my brothers and sisters, and we're not that far apart in age. Like my mom literally had 4 of us under the age of 4 because the last pregnancy was twins. So yeah. And so we did a lot of things together, and I'll recall something, and I'm like, well, Maribel, don't you remember we did this, we did that, and she's like, well, no, I don't remember that, but I remember this. And I'm like, okay. And then my other sister would say the same thing. So I liken it to that. You can have this, you can be the same place, same time, and have the same commander, same parents, but then have different, experiences.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you 100%. And I like what you said, Cliff, about peeling. The way my therapist explained it was, let's peel back that layer of the onion.
Yeah.
Because my trauma started when I was a child. Like my mom was a single mom, 4 kids. One of the guys that she dated, or 2 of the guys she dated were very abusive to my mom, to us children. And my older sister and I, we are 2 years apart. And then my younger sister is 5 years younger. And then my brother would have been 6 years younger, but he died at 10 of the age from cancer. Our journey through that, growing up, we've all experienced different things when we were growing up. And that's like when you peel back that layer, sure, my trauma in the military has affected me long term, but so has my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And you do have to peel back that layer and talk about it And the more you talk about it, the easier it gets. It doesn't eliminate it, but it does get easier. So that's what I love about you guys and your podcast, because that's what y'all focus on. You focus on the mental health aspect of warriors, and it's just it just, man, it's amazing to see what you guys doing.
I think for me, it's important, and it's liberating almost talking about mental health because of my cultural background. There's no such thing. Like,
Yeah.
suck it up, get over it. Like, what do you mean you need pills? What do you mean you need to see a shrink? What do you mean? And so just normalizing that it's okay to not be okay. It's normal to have all these different conditions, depression, anxiety, especially as a combat or war veteran. For me, it's enlightening, and especially like for my culture, like they're seeing me as a woman, a female Filipino, first generation American, was in the military, and now I'm embracing all of this. I think that it's empowering for other people to see that as well.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your culture, the Filipino culture, um, they are very, like, they don't talk about their feelings very often in
Yeah.
the
They're very
Filipino
strong and
culture.
very proud.
Yeah, and I dated a Filipino girl when I was in the military, and her dad, you know, didn't want to see weakness. Like, that was his
Yeah.
thing. And if she come home crying or whatever because she had a bad day at school, her dad would be like, or not school, but work, he'd tell her suck it up and move
Yeah.
on. That's just the way
Mhm.
he was. And it's just like, holy cow,
I think that's why
just,
it made it so easy for us to go into the military, because it was the same thing, right? You suppress
yeah,
your feelings, suck it up, get over it, keep keep going.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I grew up on a farm, and that's what we did. I mean, we lived off the land, literally. I mean, we made our own soap. We hunted fish, trapped, made our own jelly, made, canned. I mean, we never went to the grocery store. I mean, as a child, we didn't have a TV in our house till 1980, so I never saw my dad cry till the day he died. I never saw him cry. And so when I started having issues and problems, who the hell was I going to talk to? Because I wasn't going to talk to anybody in the service, because back then they med board you after 60 days. You're out.
yeah, yeah,
And I was a CW2 then. And so, my older brother I was close to, and I, would talk to him. The Able channel did a documentary on me called Surviving Suicide, which we won the Emmy for. And that's the only time on that video, on that series, that my older brother talks about finding me. And, one thing he said is, sure, I had signs, but there was nothing drastic, right? There was just little bitty signs. And so, had I completed that day, his life and my family's life would be completely different, because they would have had to live with the guilt of that for the rest of life, wondering what they missed. And, I travel all around the world doing speaking events, and I see this so often, every 42 seconds, roughly, give or take, somebody unalives themselves, and 43 seconds for somebody for the rest of life wondering if they could have done something different. And that pain never goes away. I remember one time I was with the inspecting general, the U.S. Army inspection general, when we was on a site visit. And the 06 that was in charge of us, he was just real quiet one day, completely out of the ordinary. He never acted like this before. And so I waited till everybody left the room. And I said, "Hey, sir, are you okay? You seem a little off today." That was the 20th anniversary of his younger brother, unaliving himself. And
mm,
that pain to him was as real that day as it was the day that it happened.
yeah,
And, I went from A and as close as you can get to Z without completing, right? I understand that. And I know what that feels like. I know what that path looks like. I know what it feels like to sit in a dark room, to have that drink, to run those thoughts down a terrible road that you go to when you're in that moment, in that time and space. I'm a strong guy. I work out all the time. I did not have the strength to call somebody and save myself, right? And I tell people all the time, don't be like Cliff Bauman. Have somebody that you can reach out to and talk to. And one thing I always caution people, and I think this is important to talk about, is we all have these things, right? We're looking at it now. Lynn looks at, you're looking at it. You're not looking at your phone. I know you're answering people on social media because we do the same thing on our podcast. So anybody's watching the podcast, please know when we look down at our phones, we're not ignoring the people talking. We're responding to all the different social media that we're posting because people are posting questions and things.
Yep.
But, it's important to, now I completely lost what I was talking about. What was I talking about?
Your phone.
I'm getting tired.
Reaching out to people.
Oh yeah, reach out. Don't be like, I apologize, everybody, because when I get tired with my TBI, my traumatic brain injury, I just lose train of thought, and so I want to apologize. I should be taking notes so I can keep up the conversation. But
you're good, brother.
When you're, I didn't have anybody to call, and I get asked this when I do speaking events. They ask me, says, why did you call somebody? And then I sit down and I think about it. I didn't have anybody to call. That thought never entered my mind. Now, obviously, it's different now, and I would never be down that road. But, it's important to have a conversation with somebody who is your go-to person. And here's the reason why. I was doing a speaking event at Hampton-Sydney University in Virginia, and the counselor came up to me and says, hey, one of the students is going to come to your talk tonight. A friend of his that was in high school had unalived himself. He hadn't seen him for a couple of years. That person hadn't talked to him for a couple of years, called him on his cell phone, but it was late, and the kid had set his cell phone to go on silent, on quiet mode. And he obviously didn't answer the phone, and then he saw the message, and then, of course, he felt guilty because of what happened. But I tell people this, if you are in that position, or if you're in that state of mind and you pick up your phone and you call somebody and you haven't had a conversation with them about being that go-to person, don't take that as a sign. Please, to the Lord, that is not a sign that you need to continue what you're doing. Yeah. That is an operation of a phone. That is not a sign. And if you don't have a adult conversation with that person, so they make you an emergency contact, so it rings through. I'm 6 hours ahead here in Italy. It's 12:30 at night right now. If you call me, it's not going to go through. Even my family. Now, if you call back in 3 times in a row, it's going to ring. Only if I have you set to do that. And I think for a lot of times we forget that. You can call 988 now. You can text 741-741 crisis to talk to a counselor. But I tell people this all the time. Don't take that as a sign. That's just an operation of a phone.
Yeah.
My wife gets so mad at me because I never turn my phone on silent. And the reason being is because I have a fear of missing that one call. I don't know why. I just do. Ever since I started doing what I do, I always tell people my phone's always open. If you need me, call me. And everybody out there has my number. If you don't, just ask me for it. I'll give it to you because I want to be that person that you reach out to if you need to reach out to. Going back to high school, I had a good friend that unalived himself as well, but he never reached out to anybody because he thought he was alone.
Yeah.
And what we say here always on HomeFront Sitrep is you're not alone.
No.
So if you need to reach out to somebody because you're not alone.
No.
At all. And just carry on a conversation with them. Just, if they call you and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, don't try to fix them because a lot of times they just want to vent and they just want to. They just want a sounding board. So just don't try to fix them and be like, but if you think that they might do some harm to themselves or others, get in your vehicle and drive to their location where they're at. You definitely need to do that.
And if you can't get to the location, call 911. I'd rather have somebody be mad at me and here tomorrow than not be here.
Right. Exactly.
And I have no issues in calling 911 if I think somebody's in that state of mind and or to that point. And it's a hard decision to make, and it's easy to say, but you have to make that choice because it's better for them. And they may be mad at you for a while, or they may never get over it. I mean, one thing you have to realize is when you go through recovery, you're no longer that same person, especially if you've had addiction problems. Some of your friends who still have addiction problems probably don't want you to get healthy and for you to get over your addiction because they don't want to face their own issues and demons.
Yeah.
And sometimes you lose a lot of friends going through recovery, which in itself is very stressful because then you have to find a new tribe to hang out with.
Yeah. Well, so like homeless veterans, right? So, whether they have an addiction problem, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, right? They go through these 90-day programs to get back up on their feet, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times after that 90-day program, where do they go? They go right back to the same rut that they were in beforehand.
Yeah.
So they fall back into that same cycle. And, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's out of their control that they fall back into that rut. So I definitely can understand when it comes to the mental health thing, especially for homeless veterans. They worry about where the next meal is coming from, where they're going to sleep at that night. Are they going to be warm? Are they going to be cold? So they have a lot of things that run through their head, and a lot, that's a lot of stress on, especially if you're a homeless veteran with family. You got your wife with you or kids with you, and you're worried about them. And so like we said earlier, you're not alone. Reach out to somebody. It could be Cliff, it could be Tita, it could be me, it could be anybody.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, and if you're part of the Veterans Trash Talk Network, and if you're part of the Facebook group or the many pages that we have, I guarantee you that page, somebody's on there 24/7. And if you say anything, you're going to have thousands of people reach out to you and message you and talk to you. I mean, it's happened so many times. VTT and our program and others have saved so many lives just by being there. And just like you said earlier, it's not necessarily that they just want to vent, right? They just want to, I always say all the time is, keep the molehill a molehill and don't let it become a mountain. Yeah. And some people just want to vent their frustrations. That's, I talk about the app called Ear Kick. It's a mental health app. It's probably the best app I have ever come across. You can download it, EARKICK. It's for children and it's for adults. It's AI driven. They were ahead of the industry on it. And one thing I love about this app called Ear Kick is you can go in and do your daily journaling by texting, by voice. But the AI Panda remembers what's going on with you. And you can actually have conversations with it. And it actually gives you tips on how to help yourself. And they have different videos out there for anxiety. Probably one of the best videos for anxiety I've ever came across. The co-founder has been on our show 3 times. And it's just an amazing app, and it's worldwide. She's actually from Switzerland, and it's amazing. And I tell this for veterans, for children. Use the app, try it. I know, Lynn, you have it on your phone. There is a subscription you can pay for, but you can use the free one. And so you have to have all kinds of tools in your toolbox when you're going through things. Because just like we talked before this show, you were talking about PTSD and how smells and sounds and things hit you. It never hits you when good things are going on. It's usually a combination of bad things going on that allows that to sneak in. I talk about PTSD being that sniper right there. You're just hiding in the bushes, just waiting for that moment to jump in. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're back in that moment. It's the most vivid dream. When that happens, when you get triggered, it's the most vivid dream you ever had in your life. It comes back in a second. And every single thing that went on that triggered that trauma, that trauma comes back to you. Right. And if you're a child, you're back to when you was a child. If you're an adult, you're back to that moment. I mean, if something triggers me about 9/11, I'm right back in the middle of it. I mean, every single detail of that, of the clock floating in the water or certain things being, laying a certain way or stepping over certain things or crawling through stuff. It's just like I was there. And you have to learn to deal with that. And sometimes you have to have different types of tools to deal with it. And so I talk about Ear Kick because I think it's a great tool to use. But also, Veterans Trash Talk's a great tool, listening to, HomeFront Sitrep, podcasts and things, and that group you guys go to on TikTok. It's very important to do different things because you just have to stop it. I tell people all the time, if you're sitting in a dark room and you have that drink in your hand and you're having those thoughts that keep cycling over and over again, break the circle. Get up and leave that room, or go walk outside, or go do something. Leave it. Get out of there. Change your mindset, because if you don't, you're going to sit there and that circle is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter as you spiral down that hole. And you guys all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to go back to finding your community with Veteran Trash Talk. I found them during the pandemic, and that's when I got started with them, because I posted like at 2 or 3 in the morning. And you know how when you post stuff, you have to wait for an admin to approve it, right? And I was like, well, shit, my stuff's not getting approved. And the next day I messaged either Nick or Joe or one of them. And I was like, yo, like I was really like going through a dark time. Thankfully, I reached out to someone else, but like I really wanted that community thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, how can we make it better for people like you and other veterans? And I said, well, you should probably start recruiting people from all around the nation in different time zones so that they can start approving posts.
Yeah.
Be moderators and stuff. And so they got me on board on there. And then from there, they were like family to me. And then I started podcasting with them as well, doing my women's show. But I got my start finding my community, just like being able to have that veteran community, veteran presence there, because you can reach out to anyone, but like I think for people like us, we want to talk to other veterans because like they know, when I was going to mental health in Hawaii at the VA there, I didn't really like it because the mental health person didn't know anything I was talking about. I talked about my trauma in my childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Then
That's
I
so
talked
stressful.
about combat, and I talked about deployment. She's like, "Oh my God, you had such a traumatic life. I can't believe you're still alive." And I looked at her and I'm like, "Excuse me, what the?" This
She
lady
said
literally,
that?
she said that to me.
Wow.
And I stopped going. And then it took me years to go back. And like I said, when I found Veteran Trash Talk, some of the guys on there, they actually encouraged me to go back to the VA. And sure enough, I did. I went back in Oklahoma, and they had an MST clinic, they had a PTSD clinic, they had amputee clinic, they had women's clinic. And when I was going in earlier years, there was no women's clinic. There was no women's health. There was no MST. Like, what was that? And then PTSD, nobody really knew. Like, okay, you're lying. I don't have that. And then sure enough, it never got better until I started acknowledging that I had it, and then acknowledging and talking about it.
Yeah. For some of those who don't listen, MST is military sexual trauma. For some of you may not know what MST is. And that can affect anybody. And I've had a lot of men that's been through that. And so, it is frustrating, because when I go to, I haven't been in therapy in a long time, but it's, because I'm a suicide survivor, sorry. Unalive, what have you want to say it, I'm sorry. But anyway, they want to talk about that. And I don't want to talk about that. That's not why I'm here today. I'm here for something completely different, but they want to spend all the time talking about that. So, one thing I talk about is, there's all kinds of different ways you can get help. We talked about Veterans Trash Talk, but you can, if you're still in the military, you can talk to an MFLAC, you can talk to your chaplain, obviously, your priest or whoever your religious affiliations with. But also you can get life coaches out there. They're out there, and they're not overly expensive. And there's all kinds of different ways that you can learn. The Air Kick is another good thing. You can use the app. But I mean, there's a lot of different things out there that you can use to help yourself get through. But it is for TikTok. Yeah, TikTok's very good. I'm new to TikTok. I can't live stream on TikTok yet, but I'm slowly getting there. I just started TikTok back in June. So not in June, it's like 3 months ago I started TikTok actually.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating, and it makes you not want to go to therapy when they don't understand you, and when they don't appreciate, what you went through. One thing I liked about the documentary that was filmed on me, won the Emmy for, is if you watch it, it's free to stream. It's on theablechannel.com. Surviving Suicide. I'm season 1, episode 1. But as I'm telling my story, they have a doctor comes on, and he explains the medical side of what I'm going through at that point in my story. And that is just so amazing that they did that, and something I never would have thought of, because I think for a lot of people watching it, it gives you a moment and a pause. But then he talks about, different things you should do and shouldn't do, blah, blah, blah. But it's just pretty amazing the way they put that together. But yeah, sometimes therapy can be just as stressful as it can be as helpful. And I tell people this: if you're on TRICARE and you are at the VA, you have a right, if you don't have a connection with your therapist, to request another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for women and men, both, some men are comfortable talking to women, some women are comfortable talking to men, but not women. You have to find that therapist that you can trust, because if you don't, you're never going to get the proper help.
Yeah. That's like my therapist that I have. He's not military, but his dad was a Marine. So he kind of understands some of the stuff that I've talked to him about.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, and he even flat told me, he goes, look, I can't tell you that I know exactly what you're going through, but I seen my dad go through something very similar to what you're going through.
Yeah.
And then somebody made a comment, I think it was Mumsy earlier, about unboxing. So when you peel back those layers, you unbox, and then you keep the good memories and then throw the rest away. And that helps with the stuff that you're going through. So when you're talking to people about your trauma, you can always find good in your trauma, because
Sure.
no matter how terrible your life is or was, you can find the light in the darkness, because there's always going to be light in the darkness. So you definitely just got to find, for one, you got to find your person. Like Clifford said earlier, you got to find that one person that is your trusted confidant. Sometimes that could be 2 or 3 people, just depending on your circle. Find your people, and then start unboxing your trauma. The more you talk about it, the easier it gets on you. Like I said earlier, it doesn't eliminate what you're going through, but it will help you through your trauma. So, but guys, it's about that time. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you guys want to touch on?
I didn't mention it, but on my website at cliffordbauman.com, I do have my book, The Mental Health Warrior. It is a true story of suicide and survival after 9/11. And so you can, Lynn has it there. So you can order it through my website. I will personally sign it and send it out to you. And so, I don't talk about it as much, but, I talk about this I got to quit saying I talk about this too much. I said that way too many times. I got to work on that. You kind of self-critique yourself as you're going through the speaking event. But, we are brothers and sisters keepers. So spring is a hard time for a lot of people, especially if you're going through recovery with the renewal of life. And for a lot of people, it's tough. And so let's just take a little extra time to maybe talk to that person that's having a rough time, to spend a little time maybe answering a text message and maybe asking a follow-up question. Sometimes we forget to ask that little follow-up question. And sometimes that's all they need, is that little follow-up question. So then ask the next hard question. Absolutely.
Like
and let's just all have a great, week, and have a great, rest of the month of March, and take care of each other. And then I'll be quiet now.
This is my old man, Marine, old Marine dude.
What's his name? Willis?
That's Willis.
Willis. My dad's name was Willis.
Well, it's my last name. I just go by. Okay. That's what I go by.
Your therapist had the trauma transfer from his Marine dad down to him. That's how he understood it.
Yeah.
It's that secondary PTS for sure.
Yeah.
Like my kids, they deal with that on a daily. When dad's having a bad day or whatnot, they deal with that as well.
They know to scatter. My kids knew to scatter.
Yeah. Sometimes they do well most of the time. Of course, they're older now, and they're able to get out of the house, drive themselves somewhere differently.
I still have a 10-year-old at home, so I don't have that.
Boy, no. I'm glad that
I love it. We have a lot of fun, but
yeah, mine are. So I got one that's graduating this year. She's 18. She's getting ready to go to college. Then my next one will graduate next year. She'll be 17 when she graduates. and she'll be off to Never Land, wherever she's
Yeah.
going. Eventually, we'll see. They're both. So my oldest wants to be an FBI agent, so she's going to
Nice.
go. She's going to college, Air Force, and then hopefully into the FBI.
Nice.
My youngest,
Tell her
she
take
won't
finance.
take finance.
finance.
Yes, financial lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finance
And then my
or
youngest,
FBI.
yeah, my youngest wants to
forensic
be a
content.
high school history teacher, but she also wants to be a combat medic. So I don't know if she's going to go the Navy route where she goes be a corpsman, or if she wants to go into the Army and be.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll
Or,
see.
you know,
Put
buy-
her in the Air Force.
Yeah, yeah. But no, Tita, you got anything else you want to say before I wrap it up here?
I just want to say thank you for having us on the show. We appreciate what you're doing. And follow us on TikTok, especially Cliff. He's the mental health warrior on TikTok. I'm Pacific Tita on TikTok. And then on my TikTok, you can find my link tree to all the different links there. Catch us on veterantrashtalk.com. And if you want to find a hike near you, go on irreverentwarriors.com.
Awesome. I appreciate both of you guys for having me on your podcast to let me tell my story and my why. So it was only fair that I brought you guys on to tell your story and your why. And I'm hoping we reached that one veteran today.
I'm pretty sure we did.
And I think we did. If not today, later when they watch it later or listen to it later, we're definitely going to reach that one veteran. What's going on, Kate? How are you?
Okay.
But thank you guys. Cliff, I know you got to get to bed because it's super late. It's almost
Yeah, it's
1
about
o'clock
1
in the
a.m.
morning.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
here. So,
So,
buono notte.
People here.
but thank you again for coming on, telling your story and your why. Go order Cliff's book off of his website right here. It's cliffordbauman.com.
Yeah.
Mental Health Warrior. I can't say the rest of it because of the S word that's in there.
Just a
But
true story of life.
Yeah.
Of unaliving.
Yes, go get his book. He will sign it and send it to you if you order it from his website.
Yeah.
And then go leave a review. Whether you leave a review on Google Reviews or Amazon, go leave a review because that's what makes independent authors. That's what makes them. That it helps them raise the ranks, and so go
does
leave
help a lot.
review.
Yep.
So definitely, guys, thank you for coming on and hanging out with me. I'm going to wrap it up and I'm going to head out of here.
All right.
Take
good night.
care.
Y'all have a great night.
Buono notte.
How cool was that, everybody? How super cool was that? Yeah, go check out cliffordbauman.com. That's CLIFFORD Bauman, BAUMAN.com. Go get his book, The Mental Health Warrior. Go check it out. And then, he was talking about Ear Kick. I had the link scrolling across the screen here. It's EARkick.com. Go check it out. That is your free personal AI therapist. Measure and improve your mental health in real time with your personal AI chatbot. No sign up, available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Daily insights just for you. So go check out earkick.com. Download the app. You can get it on the Apple. I don't think you can get it on Android. I don't think. It looks like Apple only. But it is an AI chatbot that you can talk with, and it comes highly recommended. So go check it out. So we're going to talk about this right here. I know we mentioned it just a second ago, but this right here, you're not alone. Guys, ladies, gents, listen to me. If you're out there and you're struggling, reach out to your people. They care about you. They love you. You are important to them. They want you to show up tomorrow. So definitely reach out to somebody because you're not alone. And then right here, hashtag, we talk about it all the time. Hashtag be someone stranger. What I mean by that is we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger. Cade, what are you talking about? What is it? We're more apt as humans to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger. Go up to them, Go up to somebody that looks like they might be having a bad day and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they say, "I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living a dream." Then ask the next hard question right here. Ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? Because more than likely, they're going to open up to a complete stranger than the ones they love the most. And then Gold Star Wife says on the 17th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, she's having a crisis intervention specialist on my live on TikTok. So that is at, let's see, I'll tell you what at Gold Star Wife 82nd Cav. So if you don't follow her on TikTok, make sure you go follow her on TikTok. And then right here, as you see below, we are proud partners with Heroes Media Group, Wreaths Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. You can find Homefront Sitrep on Wreaths Across America Radio. That's www.wreathsacrossamerica.org/radio on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. And then also, go check out sameflagsameoath.com. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen right here. Sameflagsameoath.com. Matt and Becky, they own the company. Matt is a Navy veteran, just retired recently. Homefront Sitrep has a co-branded shirt on there. It says Marine It Down on the front. So if you go sameflagsameoath.com, go click on co-branded, and then scroll down till you find Marine It Down. Buy the shirt, tag Homefront Sitrep, tag sameflagsameoath.com on that. At the end of the year, Homefront Sitrep gets 25% of all sales. And what we do is we create a wheel with all the veteran nonprofits out there that we've highlighted on our show, and we send that money straight to them. We don't take one dime of that money. It goes straight to the organization. So go check out sameflagsameoath.com. And it's about that time of night. And Gold Star says he will be doing a free teaching and then doing Q&A. So go check her out. That's on October the 17th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So go check out Gold Star Wife 82nd Cav. Gold Star Wife 82nd Cav. So go check it out. All right, guys, it's that time of night. I hate to end it. It's been a great show. Thank Tita and Clifford for coming on here tonight with the Mental Health Warrior podcast. Go check them out. Go follow them on those social media, Veteran Trash Talk. Go follow them. So, but it is that time of night, my friends, unfortunately. But like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.